Rev up your engines. What's a tractor doing at a car show? Well, this is Tennessee after all. Of course, there's going to be old pickup trucks too. This is Nashville, but there's everything here. Well, you're going to find a 55 in this kind of shape. A classic Bel Air. Of course, it's got different wheels on it. Hey, you're in the turquoise. This is the car for you. And yes, there's money in Nashville too. We got 2021 Porsches. Upscale now. Now, you know I'm not a fan of Pontiac and GM, right? Well, this is a different bird of a feather here. LS2 engine in it. And it's got the 6-speed standard transmission in it. Check it out. Made in Australia. Dancing trucks here. Check this out. As if the truck isn't loud enough. Check out that rear end. Reverse eardrums. And it's not as expensive as you might think. It's a 1950s delivery sedan. It's got about $7 grand in it. It's not that expensive if you use your head. You can make some deliveries in this thing. English cars too. It's not a Jaguar, it's an Austin. One of these actually took me to the hospital when I was a kid. See the scars? I went through a window and almost got killed. The neighbor drove me to the hospital in one of these. Irony abounds. You like classic Japanese? It's a 73 Datsun. Yes, Datsun, not Nissan. This is when they knew how to make them, before the French took over. Yes, Nashville is in the South. Yes, the classic camper van. Check it out. Even I can fit in this thing. It really is a camper van. They're not joking. The body's got 270,000 miles, so it lasted a while. Now, it does have the water-cooled Hedge engine, and they've been rebuilt a few times, but they're still running. All right, my past has finally caught up to me. Although this is a 69 and it's 12-volt, mine was a 67 and it was 6-volt. Same basic engine. And I had the dual carb version. I had to mess with it a lot, had a little more top end. But mine didn't look like this, it was more ratty. Plus it was chopped. One sweet little motorcycle. Ah, the sweet sounds of a BSA. And yes, you do kickstart this. And money-wise, he's only got $4 grand in it. What a deal. Now, he does have a lot of labor of love of hours, but what would he be doing with his time otherwise? And there's even, yes, dare I say it, Audis. But there's a story to this one because it's owned by an Audi mechanic. The only people who should ever own Audis. Now, if you are an Audi mechanic, he bought this for $8,000. Now, in 2012, when this was new, it went for $38,300. So, as I tell you, the resale values drop. You get one for $8 grand and you're an Audi mechanic, that's quite a good deal, actually. And this is a driver's car. It's a 6-speed manual. And it had 93,000 miles on it. So there's plenty of life left in it as long as you're an Audi mechanic. If you're paying 20% of what the car went for, and it's still got a lot of life, even a Mercedes can be an okay deal if you're a mechanic who knows how to fix them. So I gotta ask you, what do you think about the car?
I hate it. It costs me too much money. It's always breaking. I don't know what to do.
Maybe you're more into modern cars, late model Mustangs. Old school latches, new school car. Voila! And yes, the Japanese have even invaded Nashville. And if you want to see how fast your car really goes, run it on the mobile dyno. There's the winner of the day. 855 horsepower. Yes, that is a turbocharger, but it's more than that. It's also belt-driven. Well, the parking lot's emptying out, except for today. But I'll be back. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Zuriel says, Scotty, what do you think of a 2012 Scion TC 6-speed standard transmission with 81,000 miles for $8,500? I'm in California, so it's more expensive, but it's below market value here. The only thing you really want to check on that is have a mechanic check the engine to make sure it's not an oil burner. Some of those burnt oil, but if he tests it and says, no, it's not an oil burner, and he says it's a good vehicle, go ahead and buy it. They can last a really long time, but you do want him to check out the engine, because if it's burning oil, don't buy it. And he can check that in an hour doing a few tests, looking at the spark plugs. Noob Slayer says, hey, I traded my 2016 Nissan Note at 40,000 miles with $8,600 in repairs. Whoo! that tells you what junk those things are. I'm not lying, am I? I got a 2020 Kia Rio brand new with no upside down, and the Versa went to the auction. Lots of laughs. Yeah, well, that was a smart move. I am not a Kia fan, but that Kia is much better made than that Versa Note. Those Versa Notes are one of the worst cars they ever made, those Nissans. They were terrible vehicles. I actually rented one time. I'm a cheapskate, and one time we flew somewhere, and besides, I like testing out vehicles for all you guys, so I want to drive them all. So I got one. What a rolling pile of crap that was. My wife said, this is the worst car. Don't ever rent another one of these things. But it was only rented. I didn't buy it. And if you had to put $8,600 in repairs with 40,000 miles, yes, that shows you what junk it was. Fisher Maneb says, what do you think of a VW Beetle? Okay, the original Beetles were cool vehicles, air-cooled, simple to work on. You could change the oil. You didn't have to jack them up. You take the drain plug out. They didn't even have oil filters. And like 2 3/4 quarts of oil came out. You'd pour the oil back in, and that was it. It was simple, easy to maintain, carburetor, simple. They only had like 4 bolts holding the engine, and you could take the engines out real easy too, and they didn't weigh much. But the new Beetles, they were rolling piles of crap. They were front-wheel drive. They had nothing to do with the old Beetle except the shape, and a bunch of them had those dual-clutch automatic transmissions. I had a customer with one. When they found out what it was going to cost to repair the automatic transmission, it was cost them like $6,000. They got rid of the car, and they don't make them anymore for good reasons. Say good riddance to the new Beetles. The old ones are still cool, but the new ones, terrible vehicles. Well, now the cities are getting to the act. The city of Berkeley, California says they're going to ban gasoline car sales by the year 2030. They did say 2025, but now they bumped it off to 2030. You won't be able to buy new gasoline-powered cars, but you can buy used ones, so we're talking about getting rid of gasoline cars way in the future here. And of course, they're going to force the city of Berkeley to buy only electric vehicles, not gasoline or diesel vehicles. Now they say it's going to cost the city of Berkeley $9.76 million to convert their fleet to electric cars instead of gasoline. Guess who's going to pay for it? The old taxpayers. Now they've already allocated $300,000 for charging stations. Yeah, let's see how far that goes. You know the price what it costs to make stuff. $300,000. You can't even build a house for $300,000. So I doubt that that's going to stay there. By the time this comes about, you know that's going to be tripled or quadrupled or 10 times that. And how do they say they're going to pay for it? Well, right here it says by sales tax collected from electric cars. So here we go. Hey, here's some great new technology, and we're going to tax you on it. We're going to make you pay for it. Pay more for it than you're paying now. Yeah, here we go with the government collecting taxes. Once they start taking them, they never stop. Kuno Thakkar. Scotty, you know any good mechanics in Toronto? If not, how do I find one that's trustworthy? Keep up the good work. All right, I went to York University in Toronto. I was there, but I don't know, 45 years ago? A long time ago. Get a time machine. Go back in time. Maybe you'd see me there. Watch my video. How to find a good mechanic, Scotty. Just type that on YouTube, Google, watch the video. And you get all kinds of tips. Ask your friends. Ask people to know. Now, I know everything in Canada is expensive, and Toronto's the biggest city, so everything's quadruply expensive. It was super expensive back in the day. And this was back in the early 1970s when I was there. Today, I'm sure it's probably 10 times as expensive as it was with all your value-added taxes and stuff in Canada. But ask your friends and watch that video. How to find a good mechanic, Scotty. Just type that in YouTube. Well, if you don't have a garage to store your car, you might think about one of those car canopies. There are a million of them out there today. You can get a portable garage with the tent flap on the top for as little as $199. That's the Harbor Freight one. Of course, you're not going to be able to beat their price. I know a guy down the street, he has one. He actually uses it, believe it or not, to paint cars in, to keep the dust and stuff off. You put a little vent and a blower on it. Of course, this is Tennessee, so the laws are a lot more open-ended than they are when I was in Houston, where you would have had to have a whole paint booth assembly set up, or it would cost you $100-something thousand to be legal. But out in the country, you can get away with a lot of stuff. And let's say you don't want a full one, but you want a car canopy one. There's a company called Quick Tent, and they're $194. And they go up fast, and you get the top all covered. The sides are open, so if it's windy, you don't have to worry about the whole thing blowing over. The guy here with the Harbor Freight one, it actually blew over. Bent some of the stakes from that big windstorm here a couple months ago. You might think of an open-ended one and not a totally enclosed one if you live where it's windy area. But if you do want a little higher quality instant garage, there's a company that's called Shelter Logic, and they make one from alloy steel. It's waterproof, has a peak roof so the rain will go off of it, and they also offer round ones and extra tall ones if you got a big old truck or tall vehicle you want to park them in. There's a whole bunch of these things out there these days. You'd be surprised at what's out there. And if you want to go whole hog on your property, there's an Aero Steel carport. It's got a aluminum steel roof on it. They're a lot more money. This particular one is from a company called Aero Steel carport, and it's on $900. Comes with a 10-year warranty though, so hey, it's a lot cheaper to do that than to build an actual garage, I'll tell you that. And last but not least, if you're into style, there is a company called ABBA, just like the band, that is a patio carport canopy that's much more stylistic. Women would like that. It looks better. And it's $172. And it's also got a peak, so if you live in a snow area, the snow will slide off. Can't have a flat one where it snows. The snow would make it collapse. So there's quite a bit of things out there to protect your car if you want to look around at them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.